Air travel industry has been growing by 5% per annum for over 30 years. The growth has continued despite wars, 9/11, SARS, financial crises, recessions, and Arab Spring and oil prices. Following steady growth, air travel has doubled in the last 15 years and will double in the next 15 years too. Boeing forecast: the number of commercial aircraft will double in the next 20 years. Boeing predicts to deliver 39,620 commercial aircraft between 2016 and 2035, worth $5.9 trillion. This is equal to 165 aircraft per month for the next 20 years. That equates to 71% or 28,140 narrow-body aircraft. Airbus forecast: 33,070 commercial aircraft will be required in the next 20 years, worth $5.2 trillion. That equates to 138 aircraft per month, equating to 71% or 23,530 narrow-body aircraft. All regions, including mature European and American markets, are forecasted to grow between 3 and 4% in the next 20 years. Boeing forecasts 4.8 annual regional traffic growth, Africa in the leading position. Airbus forecasts 4.5% annual regional traffic growth, Asia Pacific will lead. With 55% growth in available seat kilometer over the last 5 years, emerging markets are driving the growth. Boeing: emerging markets are driving the economic growth with 3.5% annual GDP growth percentage, which represents a higher share of the world traffic than 2.2% annual GDP growth of advanced markets. Airbus: emerging markets are driving the growth with 6.3% compound annual growth rate, CAGR, which represents a higher share of world traffic than that of advanced markets. Conventionally, the wait for new aircraft was 3 to 4 years, but the current backlog of 12,244 aircraft of Boeing and Airbus equates to over 9.5 years of production. The wait for secondary market aircraft is less than 3 months, which brings high value and flexible seasonal markets. The majority of backlog belongs to Asia Pacific. The need for new aircraft in Europe and America is still as strong as they are replacing their aging fleet. Manufacturers often couldn't fulfill the growing demand, and ultimately secondary market aircraft is the optimal solution to fill the gap. Increases in aircraft demand leads to demand in aircraft financing. From $122 billion in 2016 to $126 billion in 2017, plus an additional $664 billion will be required in the next 5 years for new aircraft. Financing demand for secondary market aircraft is predicted to see increases since aircraft on lease offers longer earnings and steady profile for investors. Increases in aircraft demand also leads to a boost in the leasing market. From only 17 leased aircraft in 1970 to approximately 14,500 leased aircraft in 2016. Since the aircraft leasing is increasing by 50% in market share, more than half of the aircraft are required to be funded by leasing companies. Aircraft leasing is likely to grow in market share to about 60% of the world's fleet by 2033. That means leasing companies will be required to fund more than 50% of aircraft deliveries. As a result, lessors will be required to fund over half of the $664 billion required for the next 5 years. Why do airlines lease secondary market aircraft? Leasing offers quick aircraft availability. Leasing provides flexible aircraft specification and lower capital expend compared to purchasing. Leasing offers flexibility on lease expiry to the airline. There is no residual value risk to the airlines. Today, almost every airline leases aircraft, and research shows this trend is increasing. For example, Emirates airline fleet is 55% leased, Singapore 32%, Qantas 12%, Air France 58% leased, British Airways 32% leased. A typical secondary market aircraft lease is between 3 and 6 years, where the monthly lease payment is paid in advance by the airline. Upon lease commencement, the airline pays a security deposit. The airline is responsible for aircraft operations and other expenses. Expenses include maintenance, insurance, delivery, and redelivery are paid by the lessee. The growing demand of aircraft lease proves that investment in aircraft is the right choice. Why invest in secondary market aircraft? The aircraft is in demand and almost every airline leases. Large amount of capital is effectively deployed. Long-term contracts and stable cash flow predicts long-term returns. Assets are protected by highly regulated aviation industry. International laws and treaties are securing aircraft assets. Assets are mobile and can move globally. Compared to listing equity, it is less volatile. Aircraft assets play a significant role in the country infrastructure and global economy. Investments in aircraft have seen great popularity and it continues. Who can invest? Airlines, government, insurance companies, private equity, and investment companies. Aircraft leasing is a proven and stable investment. We are a team of highly skilled aviation professionals operating 12+ types of aircrafts, 13+ aircraft ownerships, 40+ long-term projects, 4,500+ charter flights, 800+ cargo flights, 18+ countries of operation. We have aircraft assets which values are predictable, costs are tightly controlled, returns that are stable and long-termed. Aircraft are a product which is in high demand. For more information, please visit www.aerovista.aero.